Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi, Senior Market Analyst. In this video, I'm going to take you through the week ahead. We're going to check out some of the news coming up this week, as well as some charts of interest. So let's kick it off with the news. On Monday, we actually have some bank holidays. We have the bank holiday in Japan, Canada, and the US. So the US session might be a little bit light, as well as the overnight session. We'll probably have some volumes around the London session going into tomorrow. Going on from that, then we've got some Fed members' speeches. We've got Member Waller speaking. But really, the main focus is going to be on some of that US data. We've got core PPI and PPI, as well as CPI, as well as the FOMC meeting minutes. Now, interestingly enough, core PPI is meant to stay the same at spot 2%, but PPI month on month is meant to fall from 0.7% down to 0.3%. So there's some interesting potential for the US dollar to start giving back some of those recent gains like we saw last week. We also have that CPI data. Core CPI meant to stay the same at 0.3%, but the CPI month on month expected to fall from 0.6% down to 0.3%. We've also got some GDP data out of the UK, month on month expected to rise from minus 0.5% up to 0.2%. So pound may be one to watch going into this week, might start to gain a little bit of strength. We also have Governor Bailey speaking, as well as President Lagarde. So we've got Fed member speeches, we've got ECB speeches, BOE speeches as well. CPI data out of China expected to rise as well. So going to be a very interesting week, especially towards the end of this week, where we've got that CPI data, GDP data out of the UK, as well as BOE speeches. I've also just made a little note here. There is a start of earnings season. Major companies like Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, BlackRock, and so on and so forth are reporting their earnings. So strength meter, currency strength meter is showing us that the New Zealand dollar is one of the stronger currencies at the moment, pushing into that territory of the plus sixes. So we're in that zone now of a really strong currency, potential reversal currency. So I'll be keeping an eye on the New Zealand dollar. One of the weaker currencies was the Swiss franc. That started to come a little bit away from those lows now, being -5 last week, going into -4. We can see the dollar starting to give back some of those gains as well. So you can see it was +5 here, now down to +4. We've got that kind of trajectory here where you can see, if I just grab a quick pen tool, that price is kind of going on that downward move there. Let me just actually change the color of that so you can actually see it. We were in those +7s, and now we're starting to kind of decline, and now we're into sort of the sort of +4 scenario here. So starting to see a bit of that downward decline here for the US dollar, and if that does continue, then there could be some interesting developments coming up this week. Going on to the US dollar index, then I'm featuring the US dollar index because we actually had a bearish close last week, and it's the first bearish close for 10 weeks, and we actually came up into a very interesting point. So I was looking for the 108 handle to be tested. We haven't quite made it there yet. It still may do, but what we did do is come up into this zone. So you can see this wick here that formed here, basically back in sort of November, December of 2022. And that zone there has now been tested, and we've started to see a little bit of a rejection. Now, technically, price is still in that sort of upward move at the moment, despite this kind of large wick coming into play. Doesn't mean that price is going to start trading to the downside, but it's a sign that maybe these buyers are starting to take off some of their positions now. Now, what's interesting about this as well, you can see I've left the stochastic on the screen. We see the K below the D line here. The last time sort of that happened, I'll just highlight these. So in here and in here, we have seen some downward moves follow from that. So there could be a sign here that there is a potential move to come. Now, obviously, if we trade through this trend line support here, we've got the 104 spot 50, which is a key area of support. So that'd be the kind of first area I'd be expecting price to try and test if we were to see that sort of downward move. Alternatively, we may get another push back up to the 108 before moving to the downside. I think the CPI data, PPI data this week is going to be really important for this action. If we see it come out as forecasts suggest, then I think we probably will see a bit of downside to the US dollar index. However, on the flip side of that, if we see a miss and we see it actually come out stronger, then we probably will see the move up to that 108 handle. Moving on to cable then, so cable could be one to watch going into this week. Obviously UK GDP figures expected to rise, US CPI, PPI expected to fall, so naturally you could think maybe pound is going to be the one that starts to push to the upside. Last week was really interesting. We came into the 1.2075 handle, found some support in here, rallied all the way up into the 1.2250, which was previous resistance highs. We've just capped ourselves below that level at the moment, and you can see from the volume profile chart here that I've got large volume spikes and low volume areas. A break above 1.2250, I think we'll see price push towards the 1.24. We can see large volumes around that sort of area here, and on your chart it's this kind of consolidation before price did start to push lower. So you've got an opportunity here. I feel if price was to trade above that level, close above, it could influence maybe a little bit of a move higher. If we reject here, however, maybe we get like a false breakout of this level, then, you know, something like a pin candle to the upside, for instance, maybe trying to break above 123. If we hold below this level, then obviously this area could become balanced and price may range between these 2 points. So that's something to also consider as well. Moving on to Euro US dollar then, we've got a nice supporting level coming in here at the 1.05. Price has failed to kind of break through that on a couple of occasions now. This goes in line with the US dollar index. Again, we've got that little bit of a crossover K above D now on the stochastic. The last few times this happened was here and here, and price rallied to the upside. So there is some potential here on this weekly time frame to see price climb. It's where could we see price go if it does. Now obviously we've marked out the 104.50 on the dollar index, so that may coincide with around about the 1.08 on Euro US dollar. But you can see here, you know, the kind of key area where those sellers came in was at 1.12. So if we were to see anything significant, then that could be something. Whether that does reach that is a different question. Obviously, we have to take it week by week. But, you know, the immediate sort of area is that 1.08 that price could test. Finally, then, dollar yen, we had the little bit of the intervention chatter last week. Price came up into the the 150 level, rejected, moved quite aggressively to the downside. Since that move, though, we've really give back pretty much all of those gains from the yen. The yen continued to weaken going into the end of last week, and it could continue obviously going into this week. I think if price comes back to the 150 level, we may see sellers try and defend that level again. If not, maybe we'll move towards the 152. But either way, again, this is obviously a huge zone of resistance, and if price was to come back into that, I think you've got to be aware that there could be some aggressive selling or some intervention coming in at that point. I like the 145 as support. You can see we've got trendline support through there. We've got previous highs and some structure lows through there. That could also act as support going forward. So if we were to see another rejection of 150, it could drive price towards that 145 handle. So that's all I've got for you this week. Some key data coming up in the US as well as the UK. Definitely cable, the one to watch going into this week. Hope you enjoyed this video update. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see some more Forex trading content. And I'll speak to you in the next video.